Come on down to Junior's, the greatest family-friendly diner out there.
This map is incredible. It feels a lot more realistic than most Minecraft animations, and it's obvious hard work went into making it. Aha! Stan Lee cameo car tag that just says car. It's so blurry you can barely see it, but that won't stop me.
006 Olive Street.
This kid's pizza isn't even bending. It's cardboard. But then again, this is a Freddy's joint, so I'm not sure what I was expecting.
Feel free to stop by and enjoy our food, games, and more.
Dude on the right is just straight up black and white. The saturation is lower during the sequence, so this is understandable, but a simple shirt change could have helped.
Say hello, Freddy. He's a little camera shy.
These rigs are so freaking good. I mean, just compare this model of Toy Freddy to 3A displays. 10 pros.
Sit back and relax while we make your child's dreams come true.
Shut up! 3 pros for all the Dream Team references in this video. Afton isn't holding a remote, and he certainly isn't touching the TV, so how did he turn it off? Maybe he's actually a Sith Lord and using the Force. Oh, and before I forget, Dalvondo did an excellent job voicing Henry. Afton is wearing the same outfit that he wore in this picture and in Drawn to the Bitter One. Does he have nothing else to wear? Or maybe he has dozens of the same outfit so he doesn't have to waste brain power on what to wear. There are several great facial expressions throughout this video, so I'll go ahead and group them all here with 3 pros. Is Afton just waiting for Henry and Charlotte to arrive to show any emotion? I like the realisticness of the trees, really help bring this environment to life. Okay, if you want to skip this upcoming monologue, just skip to the timestamp on screen. So in Drawn to the Bitter One, Afton's youngest son, and in this series, his only son, was bitten and killed by the Fredbear animatronic. In the games, it's established that this incident is called the Bite of 83 because it took place in 1983. We see numerous signs of the year in the games, but this minimalist tombstone implies that Michael died in the year 1987. So in short, the date is inaccurate. The look Afton gives Charlotte here is a nice start to this part of the story, and nicely implies what his later motives will be. Yeah, I'm no lip reader. I have no idea what he just said. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not seeing any signs of tears. Must have just been scratching an itchy eye. Don't worry, Afton. We all hate them too. Afton's fingers are clipping into Spring Bonnie a bit, so let's say 5 cons for all the clipping and move on. With the way the endoskeleton is lying inside the suit, it looks like Spring Bonnie is eating an eye, which is off-putting, to say the least. Just a 10 out of 10 shot here. We see Afton begin to lose his mind with that menacing smile, with his murder weapon in the back looking at the camera like it doesn't want to do this. Interesting. Whoever made this pizza decided to leave pepperoni off the bottom half. And speaking of pizza, this one seems to be made of cardboard too. Nice examination reference. Charlotte doesn't have a plate, so she just set her pizza down on the table. Henry, you should have taught your daughter what germs means. Also, if you turn the music up, you can hear that the place sounds packed. So how did nobody notice a serial killer in a yellow rabbit suit outside the window? The arcade sign is a nice addition to the set. It helps enhance the pizzeria's atmosphere, and it isn't too bright and it won't distract the viewer. Well, no wonder nobody saw this happening. The place is empty. Maybe this place is under lockdown too, and Henry was trying to simulate a normal work environment. The costume's metal jaw falls down for no reason, but it allows us to see Afton's creepy face, so I'll give a pro and a con. This is the only complaint about rigging I have, but this is the least convincing knife I've ever seen in a Minecraft animation. Also, where'd he get the knife? If he somehow got it to fit in his pocket, he wouldn't be able to get it through the suit, So did he just have it propped by the door? Seeing Charlotte's hair and hoodie strings move around and be dynamic is a really cool improvement over her appearance in Drawn to the Bitter One, where she was still as wood. The trash lid floats into Charlotte's hands. The instrumentals are just a little bit behind the animation. And while I'm talking about the music, I must congratulate Andy and the team for making music that fits this well with every scene of the animation. 5 pros that are well earned. Afton's car scoots closer to get a better view of the fight, and I can't say I blame it. I certainly had my popcorn watching this. Oh, and before I forget to bring this up, we see in the games that Afton's suit and water don't go well together, so how has he not been spring-locked yet? And when Afton stabs Charlotte, his knife doesn't have much blood on it afterwards. It's a little red, but not enough to make it look legit. For putting up such a great fight, it's surprising Charlotte didn't try to do anything to escape Afton, especially when he's walking this slow. Let's give a pro for this scene. I like seeing Afton's legs jitter after taking that blow from Charlotte. Interesting to see that Afton had his eyes closed when he did the deed. Almost like he can't even believe what he just did. So the solid metal jaw on the suit can bend? The lightning flashes are the only thing illuminating the building in the background. I wasn't even aware it was there until the flash. At least one lit up window could have helped.
Our trusty security puppet will keep a keen eye out for any suspicious characters.
But apparently won't do anything to stop them from murdering children. Thanks, Mr. Helpful. Anyone who's played the FNAF games knew going into this that Charlotte was gonna die, myself included. But I still remember how when I first saw this, I was convinced for a second that we'd see some sort of differentiation from the lore, and Charlotte would live. Great job animators for making this fight that convincing. In the first shot, Toy Bonnie is off, but is back on and running a few shots later. And while I'm talking about the toy animatronics, why is Toy Chica not here? Don't see a reason for excluding her. Henry's shirt not being a part of the skin looks really nice. As Afton drives past, it doesn't appear that he has the suit in his car. I doubt his trunk is large enough for him to fit it in there, so con. This scene does such a great job at making you feel bad for Henry, despite him being a fictional character. The camera is on the building beside Freddy's, so we could assume that the owner let Henry access the footage. But for some reason, the other building's security room has a poster of Freddy, as well as the layout of the restaurant? None of these buttons are labeled, so how does Henry know which one to press? And for being in the 80s, the quality of the footage is shockingly high. The lightning flash that happened when Afton knifed Charlotte is still there in the footage, a nice attention to detail I remember noticing on first watch. But it's more than I can say for Afton's car, which sadly didn't make it. So let's add a pro and a con. Henry, your pupils cast shadows. I'm not even really sure what to tell you to do to fix that. Sorry, dude. Wait, Freddy's was built next to a tattoo saloon? Henry, what were you thinking? It makes sense that the puppet is gone since Charlotte possessed it and left, but her body disappearing doesn't really have an explanation. The puppet just rounded the corner. How does it take you this long to see her, Henry? I know your eyes are a little messed up, but this is starting to become a much larger concern. Edge of the map behind the trees and this, massive dead bush. The arm lands a bit too gently here from the way Henry tossed it on the table. And while we're talking about things on the table, why does Henry have a hammer the size of the arm? Henry isn't pressing down the nozzle when using the spray paint. He must have a serious iron grip on that thing, which should cause it to blow. Lefty's head isn't connected to any sort of power, so I'm not really sure why his eyes are on. And while we're talking about his eyes, one of them just dies so the rig can look accurate. Okay, surely you have to stick the arm in harder than that. Unless Henry's goal is to build this thing as faulty as possible. Either way, wouldn't want his lack of effort in my business. So Henry's goal is to capture the puppet using Lefty, which he easily could have done earlier. The puppet is super thin and probably weighs nothing, so why not grab it when you had the chance? Also, I doubt Henry would take the time to draw images this complex on the whiteboard. And I also doubt he's talented enough to draw that well with a marker, but who knows? Now it's time for the overalls. The way these work is, I asked myself how good the story, visuals, and syncing of the animation were, and then added 5 pros or cons to the appropriate side. Despite being driven by the lore of the games, the story actually felt pretty original, probably because it wasn't crammed into a music video, which is very refreshing to see. So, 5 pros. In terms of visuals, this was a massive step up from Drawn to the Bitter 1. I pointed this out earlier with Charlotte, but it's really visible all around, so 5 more pros. Despite not being tuned to a song, there was still a lot of syncing with sound effects and background ambiance, as well as the soundtrack. I had that one problem earlier when the animation was a few frames ahead of the soundtrack, but that's kind of a nitpick. So, a final 5 pros for this animation. In the end, this animation is shockingly great. I remember going into this first watch and trying not to get myself too hyped, but it blew my expectations away. I think the rigging, along with the overall improvement in animation, really helped pack that massive punch. It's really a shame that it only got around 10% of Drawn to the Bitter 1's views, but that's just the YouTube algorithm, I guess. As for the ranking, I'd actually go as far as to give this thing a 10 out of 10. In my opinion, it's easily the best Cubical video, and also the first I've reviewed to have more pros than cons, which is something I never thought would actually happen. Again, a highly underrated animation. I hope everyone watching goes and gives it a watch.